Satellites stalking and interfering with other satellites, a new find from New Horizons, peering into the solar system's past, and celebrating Pluto's 90th. It's Tuesday, Feb 18, 2020. Happy birthday, Dad. It's time to talk science.
Across Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts and YouTube, this is Talking Science with Dr. Brad Tucker and Matt Miller.
The man with the science is here, Dr. Brad Tucker. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, how's it going? It's Pluto Day.
It is Pluto Day. We finally got around to getting into record mode. A couple of technical issues this morning, but that's all good. The viewers at home know nothing of that, just that it is Pluto Day.
Well, you could say Pluto's had a few technical issues as well.
Well, discovered, undiscovered, made a planet, not made a planet. It's a hard life for Pluto.
It really is. Pluto just doesn't get the respect. It's like the Rodney Dangerfield of planets.
Well, you can, of course, find Brad on Twitter at btucker22 and on Facebook at Dr. Brad Tucker. You can find me on Twitter at Miramat86. This week, we're continuing our new format, so you can catch our full chats on each topic on Thursday, Friday and Saturday this week, or just click the card in the top right of the video on YouTube.
Talking Science Headlines.
Alrighty, Brad, the headlines. Another cygnus resupply mission was launched on Sunday, which is good to know that there are still missions being able to get up there with Boeing's troubles.
That's right. They've launched another resupply mission for both experiments, and one of the experiments actually included a high school experiment from Victoria going to the International Space Station, in addition to supplies. And, so it's, as you said, it's good to see it's still going and will keep going.
Another 60 SpaceX Starlink satellites have been launched. I believe they were launched overnight, Tuesday, when we're recording. So the sky is getting lighter and lighter.
It is, and we've talked about this issue a number of times, and that it's going to keep going. And this is it. It's just they're more and more being launched at very fast rates, and it's not just SpaceX. And, not only is the race really on between these companies, but the issues we're trying to mitigate in terms of light pollution are more and more pressing, literally by the day.
And one last headline that I spotted over the weekend, NASA has confirmed that SpaceX will be launching the first humans, the first crewed mission from US soil since the retirement of the space shuttle. SpaceX has that privilege a little later in the year.
That's right. Thanks to, I guess, their progress in terms of what they've developed, Boeing having some issues, but it's really a sign, as we talked about, that NASA says, it's a tick of approval, that ready to go, and it's almost 10 years since Americans have launched from the U.S.
And it'll be the first time that they'll be able to land on the continental United States.
That's right. So, some big milestones coming up, and again, it's, as we've talked about, it's not a thing of in 3 or 4 or 5 years. All of this is just this week's news.
Talking Science Stories of the Week.
Brad, let's dive in. The Cold War is back on, it seems.
That's exactly right. I'm going to say nefarious, but interesting activities in space. And look, and this is something where we in the field have kind of known what's going on, and now it's becoming more and more public. And they're essentially things what we call inspector satellites. And so if you think about it, when you launch a satellite, you have a predefined orbit, you launch it into the orbit, it goes there. Now that's fine, and satellites stay in their same orbits, physics, all that fun stuff. Except there's a class of satellites that have thrusters on board that can kind of change their orbit and swoop in. And the important part is you may think you put your satellite in a nice safe spot, and then all of a sudden, whoop, someone parks right next to you, and you're no longer secure.
Well, a little bit further out than low Earth orbit is the New Horizons spacecraft. It's around the Kuiper Belt, and some information that we've been able to gather from its flyby of Arakoth could settle how the solar system, our universe, was formed.
Well, yeah, we talked about when New Horizons flew by it last January, so not January 2020, but January 2019. And they've been poring over the data, and what they saw with Arakoth was they called it like a snowman or something like that. It's two round balls stuck together. But then as they got more images, they realized they were fairly flat. So there were more two pancakes stuck together. And so this started to really allow them. I actually think this turned out better than they thought. They just wanted to find another object past Pluto. The fact that they saw this one is probably going to be way more important than anyone appreciated going into it. And it's because there's a big debate in how solar systems form. And you kind of have two models. You have more of a chaotic, big things are crashing into each other, they slam, then gravity pulls all those bits together. Or you have the more kind of softer approach where bodies are smaller, but they slowly spiral in, and then they're gonna just touch into each other and morph into each other. And Arakoth is really showing that it is by far the latter, which was not what the theory, the popular theory was based on the evidence, that it's more gentle touches that come together. And it's all because Arakoth is this kind of pristine, untouched world on the edge of the solar system.
Well, lastly, this week, Brad, Pluto. The planet that was a planet when I was at school, and I'm sure was a planet when you were at school as well. It's not a planet anymore, but you did tease us last week that you were going to tell us which two US states still consider it a planet.
Yes, so Pluto was demoted in August 2006 by the International Astronomical Union, i.e. Neil deGrasse Tyson. And
send complaints too.
Some people voted on it. I didn't. I was not a member because I was an undergraduate at college. Shortly after, about 2 weeks after the IAU, New Mexico passed a state law saying that Pluto was a planet in New Mexico. Now, the reason New Mexico was passed was so Clyde Tombaugh discovered it at Lowell Observatory in Arizona, but spent most of his lifetime working at New Mexico State University. So his family and everyone, he was kind of the scientific pride of New Mexico a bit. So they passed a law saying, no. In New Mexico, Pluto is a planet. Again, this is kind of a state law, I think more ceremonial. In New Mexico State University and other astronomers still accept the IAU, but that's what, according to them. And then a number of years later, Illinois passed a law saying the same thing. Most people are probably surprised it's Illinois, and that's where Clyde Tombaugh was born. So they did it in anniversary of his birthday as a resolution to say it's still a planet in Illinois.
Fantastic, Brad. Well, as always, it's fun to talk science with you, and we'll do it again next week.
Before Pluto's next birthday.